Hello. My name is Jason Stevenson, and I welcome you to this night's story made for grown-ups of all ages. A tale created to calm your spirit and help you sink into deep, refreshing rest. As you hear this story, just allow your heart to soften, your body to loosen, and your mind to journey with Thomas, the traveler of this story. Before we start, take a few long, slow breaths, finding stillness in your body apart from the natural rise and fall of your breathing. Now let us music begin. Thomas suddenly wakes, startled as if pulled from the edge of sleep. His head had almost tipped back against the wall behind him. Blinking around, he notices that he is not alone in his drowsiness. Many of the early morning riders are also dozing, squeezing in a few more minutes of rest before they reach their stops. Yet no one else seems to stir at the same moment as him. Must have been one of those half-dream jolts, he thinks. Perhaps I wasn't really asleep at all. The daily ride for Thomas is always a long one. He lives in a small apartment at the southern tip of London's Northern Line. Even though his commute into the city takes time, he always reminds himself to be thankful for finding an empty seat. Being among the first to board has its perks, he muses. Maybe the long distance is worth it if it means he can sit. His thoughts wander to the place he is heading to so early each day. Thomas is a project manager at a modest yet well-regarded software company in London. He has been with the firm for nearly 8 years, starting right after his studies. He enjoys the company of his coworkers and has a respectful bond with his manager. But deep inside, each time he imagines walking into the office, something tenses in his gut. He notices the feeling rise and then fade, though it never disappears completely. That morning he arrives, greeting the few who also like to start early at 7. He enjoys finishing sooner so he can later soak in the golden sun of London's leafy parks. His fingers dance across the keyboard, answering clients and moving projects forward. On some afternoons, when the office is quiet and coworkers haven't returned from lunch, he sneaks in small moments to research travel. Japan, Australia, Peru, Greece. His mind drifts across maps. But on this particular morning, he is absorbed in a new assignment for a young company in Athens. As he works, his boss, Louisa, approaches with an idea. "Thomas, I've been thinking," she says warmly. "It would be wonderful for us to connect with the Athens team in person. I'd like you to go meet them, show them who we are. There's real promise here for something lasting." Thomas beams. For the first time in what feels like ages, his heart leaps. A smile spreads across his face before he even notices it. Louisa sees his reaction and takes it as agreement. "I'd love to," he replies, his voice lighter than usual. He will spend 5 days in the city balancing work with some personal discovery. His mother is Greek, raised just outside of Athens before moving to England when she was young. She rarely went back, and Thomas himself had never set foot there. Yet in his bones, he always felt a pull toward the land of his ancestors. Life had been too busy, he often told himself, though deep down he knew that was only an excuse. That night he hurries home, unable to hold back his excitement. Though his flight isn't until the week's end, he begins to pack. He calls his parents with the news, and their delight fuels his own. Later he lies in bed, staring at the moonlit sky. The city glimmers beneath the nearly full moon. Planes move above as small blinking stars crossing the heavens. Soon, he thinks, I'll be inside one of those vessels. It has been years since he flew anywhere, since his teenage days, in fact. Approaching 30 now, the memories flood him. He recalls the bond with his grandparents. His grandfather, a farmer, often took him into the fields and sometimes deep into the forest to gather wild berries and herbs. Those walks always felt like stepping into a tale, something magical in the air. The whisper of the wind through branches, the chatter of birds, the crunch of twigs beneath their feet. The scent of pine and the shafts of light slipping between leaves, all of it wrapped in wonder. His grandmother on his mother's side stands clear in his memory too, her cooking, her laughter, her endless warmth. She would call him and his sister, Katrina, into the kitchen to help. They washed the herbs, stirred the simmering sauces, breathing in the fragrances as she added handfuls of basil, oregano, and thyme to the tomatoes. Thomas realizes it has been far too long since he last cooked. A dull ache moves through his belly with the thought. He misses it, the slowness of time in the kitchen, the care woven into each meal. He quietly promises himself, "After Athens, I will return to cooking." The days drag until Friday finally comes. With his suitcase ready, Thomas gives his flat one last glance. It's only a short trip, but he still bids it a small goodbye. On the train to the airport, he gazes out at the fresh greenery of London's outskirts. Spring is alive in the blossoms, sunlight spilling across the fields. Excitement hums in his chest. Though business is the purpose, he will have 2 full days to discover Athens before his Monday meeting. It has been so long since he allowed himself such a trip, and to his mother's homeland of all places, his spirit of adventure stirs awake. The flight is short, just a few hours. The plane glides above the clouds, the earth appearing and vanishing below. How strange, Thomas thinks, that humans can soar like this. As a boy, he often dreamed of flying, sometimes sprouting wings and gliding across seas and fields in his sleep. Waking, he would wonder if those dreams were visions of the future. He chuckles softly now, realizing this is the closest he'll come, and it is wondrous enough. By afternoon, the plane lands and he makes his way into Athens. He has booked a small guest house close to the ruins. His room is simple but beautiful, balancing rustic charm with modern comfort. It has everything he could want. He steps onto the little balcony, pulling aside the sheer curtains. From here, he looks out at the Acropolis, ancient and glowing in the light. A wave of peace settles into him. He wanders the narrow lanes, the twisting markets, streets shaded with trees. He has no map and no plan. With each turn, he feels both lost and perfectly free. He follows stairways and stone paths until he reaches the Acropolis itself. Looking up, he feels as though he has slipped into another era. Myths told by his grandmother flood back. The place feels otherworldly, as if history itself breathes around him. Inside, something stirs so deeply that he almost weeps. It has been so long since he let himself be moved. The Athens trip is quietly reshaping him. Confidence, clarity, and calm begin to rise, though he can't quite put them into words. He spends the weekend soaking in the land, tasting the local food, walking the ruins, resting deeply. He allows himself to be fully present, letting worries melt into the background. He sleeps like he hasn't in years, waking with energy and inspiration. Monday arrives and he readies for his meeting. At the startup's small office, he finally meets Sam, the founder, and the team he has only known online. They talk for hours about technology, though Thomas's heart drifts elsewhere. When the meeting ends, Sam thanks him for traveling so far. Thomas smiles, grateful but unsettled, and returns to his guest house. That evening he sits on the balcony, the ruins glowing under the waxing moon. Memories surface, summer nights long ago in England when his family would sip hot chocolate under the stars. Nostalgia washes over him, the memory of simpler days when he felt more in tune with the world. Staring at the moon now, he feels that same lullaby-like calm. His body yields to rest, and he slips easily into sleep. The next day he flies back to London, but something within has shifted. A quiet longing follows him. He senses it has to do with Athens, with the way the adventure awakened something he had forgotten. He struggles to focus at work. The inner voice grows louder, telling him to listen. "Return to the roots," it whispers. At first he resists, afraid, but the message refuses to leave. Eventually he knows there is only one choice. He must go back. The whispers inside Thomas will not leave him. Every day at his desk he tries to ignore them, yet they only grow stronger. His mind repeats the same quiet call: return to your beginnings, to your roots. He doesn't know exactly what it means, but he feels it in his bones. The thought both excites him and fills him with fear. He has always chosen safety, familiar steps, paths that are well lit and predictable. But now he realizes his heart is asking him to leap into the unknown. By the end of that same week, he gathers the courage to resign. His boss is surprised but kind, wishing him well. For 2 weeks, Thomas ties up his loose ends, handing over projects to others. At night, he wonders what lies ahead. He remembers an old line from Lord Byron he once read, "There is pleasure in the pathless woods." Those words echo now in his heart. As if by fate, his sister Katrina returns from the United States at just the right time. She offers to take care of his London apartment while he is gone. The decision frees him. He looks at a map of Greece with his eyes closed and lets his finger land at random. It touches a small island in the Aegean Sea, one he has never even heard of. Without hesitation, he books a flight, arranging to stay in a tiny mountain village guest house for 2 months. He doesn't know how long his journey will last, but he feels ready to begin again. Days later, the plane touches down at the southern edge of the island. A taxi carries him to the guest house in a quiet village overlooking the sea between Greece and Turkey. The hosts, Maria and George, greet him warmly, showing him the garden, the terraces, the view of the harbor below. Their welcome makes him feel instantly at home. They invite him for dinner, but tired from travel, he politely asks to join another night. His room is small and simple, but to Thomas it feels like a sanctuary. He opens the window, breathing in fresh mountain air, mixed with salt from the sea. Though uncertain of his purpose here, his heart tells him he is in the right place. He lies down and sleeps deeply, like a child, carried by the quietness of the land. The following morning, Thomas takes a small bag of fruit and water and heads into the hills. He walks without any plan, letting instinct lead. The shrubs are dotted with bright blossoms of yellow, red, and purple, and the sun warms his back as he climbs. He has not wandered so aimlessly since childhood, and he feels light, almost free of time itself. When he returns, his body aches with tiredness, but his heart feels alive. That night he dreams vividly of floating high above Earth, as if he were an astronaut. From above, the planet looks small, delicate, like a jewel among millions of stars. In his dream he whispers, "What a beautiful home I live on." The dream fills him with awe and gratitude, and he wakes with its clarity still glowing in him. In honor of that dream, he sets out walking again the next day. With each step he feels the ground beneath him in a way he never noticed before, as though his feet are speaking with the earth. After a long walk he finds a quiet beach. Lying back in the warm sand, he feels it embrace him. The sound of the ocean connects him again to the dream, reminding him that the world is whole, alive, and united. He breathes in the sea air, fully present. Later he joins Maria and George for dinner. Their kitchen is simple but alive with smells of herbs, bread, and olive oil. He offers to help, warning them he may be slow. They laugh gently and tell him, "Speed is not important in this kitchen. What matters is the care." Their words bring back memories of his grandmother's kitchen, and he feels at home. Over the next week they show him how to prepare traditional dishes: stuffed vine leaves, fresh bread, stews rich with herbs grown just steps away. He loses himself in the flow of cooking, his hands moving more naturally with each day. He realizes how much joy food gives him, not only to eat but to create, to nurture, to bring life from the soil to the table. One night he dreams again. This time he sees a long table beneath a wooden canopy in an open meadow. Twinkling lights are strung along the edges, flowers are placed in jars, and people he loves gather around. He stands at the head of the table, passing dish after dish he has prepared. The air is full of laughter, whispers, and joy. He wakes from the dream with certainty. He finally understands what the whispers meant. Back to the Roots was not only about Greece. It was about food, land, and people. He wants to live in rhythm with the earth, to grow and prepare food with care, to feed others in ways that heal body and soul. The next morning he walks with Maria in the garden. She shows him rows of tomatoes, basil, cucumbers, and beans. The smell of the soil and herbs awakens something deep in him. He feels a spark, as though the earth itself is calling him. He realizes this is where he belongs, not in offices staring at screens, but here, hands in the soil, body in the sun, heart in the rhythm of the land. The weeks roll on. Thomas spends his days tending the garden, helping in the kitchen, and wandering the hills. He feels himself changing, his worries fading, replaced by presence. His nights are filled with dreams that inspire him. He is no longer afraid of the unknown. For the first time in years, he feels whole. As his second month approaches, he looks out from the village at the blue stretch of sea. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he no longer fears it. He knows one thing clearly: he has returned to his roots, and in doing so, he has rediscovered himself. The moon rises again above the mountains, bathing the island in silver light. Thomas stands on the balcony of his guest house, the same stars above him that he had once stared at as a child. He smiles, his heart steady and open. Then he closes his eyes, breathes deeply, and drifts gently into sleep, knowing that this new chapter of his life has only just begun.